Welcome to General Hospital News, followed by the latest news. General Hospital spoilers teased that Cyrus Renault and Martin Gray were related. Cyrus and Martin have known each other for a long time. When it was announced in the General Hospital that the two knew each other, Cyrus really didn't want to talk. They are in the sanatorium in GH, and Cyrus is probably still injured by the wall Laura Collins has erected. Martin and Cyrus walked down the hallway, where Cyrus didn't appreciate Martin's push. Martin asked if he ever knew him to wait to be called. Martin may have heard Laura yell at Cyrus that she wouldn't stop until he was knocked out. The two men have had transactions in the past, and that could indicate a very long past. Of course, maybe Martin and Cyrus know each other through business. Martin may have represented Cyrus as often as possible, although it seems he may have represented him on numerous occasions. However, there seems to be another connection. When Curtis and Jordan Ashford were on the plane on the way back from Mexico, Jordan saw the information she had downloaded. They tracked down some medical equipment found in a house on Wilson Street in Astoria, Oregon to a manufacturing plant in Mexico. While Curtis toured the factory with his secretary, Jordan plugged a flash drive into his office computer. As they discuss what's in the drive, a patient with the surname Gray shows up with an account named Cyrus. Of course, just because Martin's name is spelled Gray doesn't mean the patient's name. It could be Gray. It can also be an alias for the patient's name. If Cyrus is protecting the patient he is hiding in a house on Wilson Street, most likely his real name will not be used. However, his real name has been used, although he can also be placed under an alias. Martin and Cyrus don't really look as though they might be brothers. Cassandra Pierce could be a patient and Cyrus could be her brother. That theory may still work, although Valentine Cassadine knows Martin, he doesn't know Cyrus and Cyrus doesn't know him either. Cassandra could be a link between Martin and Valentine, and it makes sense if someone like Cassandra's medical record is put under an alias and the name, Gray, could be a coincidence or not. Cassandra has many aliases. It is also possible that Martin was once married to Cassandra and Cyrus, and he is brother-in-law. Martin will likely remain Cyrus' attorney for several years with that family connection. We have limited information about Florence Gray. Florence first appeared in Port Charles in 1973. Florence was not a permanent fixture but seemed to have a lasting effect on the people of Port Charles. Florence is married to Laura Collins's biological father, Gordon Gray. Leslie Weber was a newly hired cardiologist and Florence was her first patient. Florence had a failed marriage and had a stomach ulcer. Florence begins meeting a psychiatrist about her problems and opens up about her husband's affair with a student years ago. Florence said the girl was pregnant and the baby died. Leslie had heard about the affair and realized that Florence was talking about her. Gordon wants to leave his wife and declare that he loves Leslie. Leslie persuaded Gordon to make up with his wife, and he did. Gordon and Florence left Port Charles. When Leslie learned that the child was still alive, she went to find Laura. Martin Gray appeared in town as Valentine Cassadine's lawyer. However, Martin also has connections with Cyrus Renault, who appears to be haunted by Laura Collins. Florence and Gordon have a child after they left Port Charles? If Martin was Laura's half-brother, how was Cyrus related to him? Perhaps Martin and Cyrus were also half-brothers. Jordan died after leaving Port Charles, but apparently Florence survived for a while and was connected with Cyrus. Could Cyrus be Florence's child from another relationship? Could Cyrus be Gordon's illegitimate child from another affair? Why did Cyrus focus on Laura after all this time? Cyrus has an anti-Laura relationship. Cyrus chose to go to Laura's town. Cyrus wants to reside in Laura's town and now he is investigating the murder that Laura was sentenced to 40 years ago. Could Laura be his half-sister through their father? Why would Cyrus want leverage against Laura? Would Cyrus want Laura to help him in his attempt to take over Port Charles? Did Cyrus just want to make Laura suffer for something that couldn't be her fault? Cyrus and Martin were somehow connected, and somehow Laura bonded with them. Is Florence the key to this mysterious connection? Now that we talk about Sam McCall's love story, she's still anxious about the crowd life in which she's engaged in herself. Sam loves Jason Morgan, but the world he lives in brings a wealth of dangers to her life as well as to her children. Danny Morgan was recently nearly killed, and that's because Jason had a deadly target on his back. As Sonny Corinthos' right-hand man, that goal truly never disappears. Of course, Danny is Jason's son and that carries a certain degree of risk. If Cyrus can go after Danny whether Sam is with Jason or not. Jason's relationship status doesn't change the fact that Danny is related to him, and neither does Scout Kane because Jason loves her as if she were his own daughter. Sam will have to leave the PC and cut off all contact with Jason to keep her kids really safe. But, at least it could help if Sam put some distance between her and Jason. This could prevent future enemies from getting too close, those not in the loop like Cyrus. Sam, Danny and Scout could more easily live under the sight of a crowd. With all of this, Sam can choose a new life without Jason by his side. Since Sam still needs a caring love if that happens, this seems like a great opportunity to bring Drew Kane back from the dead. Anyway, Drew is only thought to be dead, so the GH writers will easily claim he survived that plane crash. Interestingly, Franco Baldwin has begun to recall Drew's memories in his dreams. This is part of the impending kidnapping of Peter August, which also seems to involve Drew. Peter played a much larger role in the memory mapping project than him and was involved in the plot to kidnap Drew in Afghanistan. Arranging Drew's death settlement is one of the worst things Peter has ever done, so they should undo that if Peter continues. There seems to be a lot of mention about Drew going on and easy ways for Drew to start working again. And this angle can easily set the character's return. Drew or twins that can bring even more safety to Sam. If Drew does come back, even with a new actor in the lead, Sam could live with him a much safer life than Jason. They can return to run Aurora Media together and find a new path to happiness. That will please many Dream fans and will bring back some great dramas as Jason watches Sam move on with his brother. There could be a reunion between Drew and Sam. Will the end of JASSM open a revived dream? Please like and subscribe to the channel to follow. Thank you, Happy.